Throughout time, technology has been used and has helped shape the world. Technology not only continues to help us today, but it is also changing and has been changing since the beginning. When you compare the way computers were then to how they are now, or how camera or television sets used to be, they have totally different look, style, and even use that has changed our ways of life, especially in society. As easy as technology has came to be, there are still different views of the subject, as some find it beneficial.
In the classroom, I use a smart board on a regular basis, and I think that's really um, helped me to engage students.
Be in contact with the world and know what's going on.
But some think the other way.
In a negative aspect, technology has been used to kind of censor the media and censor the public's opinion on things, because the government can essentially take away our rights of free media, which has happened with like the SOPA bill.
Family life in America is kind of strained because of technology. For instance, my sister is on the phone 24/7.
Technology is what makes our government go round and our world go round. We use everything from the media to marketing to promotions to like everything, and technology is used in every aspect of that.
But computers, cameras, and televisions aren't the only pieces of technology that have grown. One invention that has swept the nation is the cell phone. As we all know, the idea or principle of the phone was discovered by Alexander Graham Bell in 1874 off the idea of the telegraph that was made in 1834. Millions of people were using the telephone. The evolution of the phone is remarkable. When the telephone first started out, you had to call an operating system to make a call, but it soon evolved into the rotary dial, and then eventually push-button phones were made to make calling easier. And after years of the phone being invented and used by tons of people, the cordless phone was born in 1965. And even after all these changes were made to the phone, that wasn't it. The one day finally came that started it all. On April 3rd of 1973, the very first call from the cell phone was made. One of the very first phones was Motorola's Dynatac 8000X. It was said that only the richest of the rich had these phones because you had to pay $50 a month to use, which was a lot. This phone was well known to others, especially from watching Teen's heartthrob Zach Morris use it all the time on Saved by the Bell. But the evolution of phones didn't stop there. One of the phones that Motorola made next was Microtech 9800X. It was a bit easier to carry and more mobile. It was also the inspiration for future flip phones. The 90s was when the use of the phone became bigger. These were the years that the first text messages were sent, digital signal processors and high-tech networks were used, and more. In 1933, the PDA phone was made, which had way more features than a regular phone. It could serve as an address book, calculator, pager, and fax machine. This was also the phone with the first touchscreen that could be used with the stylus or your finger. Then more and more newer features came out which made the phone more useful, like Bluetooth in 2000, which allowed people to wirelessly connect their phones to their computer. There was also the camera phone in 2002, which was a big hit. At first it didn't have the greatest quality, but as time went on, it improved more and more and became one very popular feature on the phone. In 2004, another phone came out that was also a big hit, and that was the Motorola Razr. Cell phones before this one used to be big and bulky, so this was a really big change. From there, phones continued their small and thin shape. In 2007, a huge step was made to the cell phone. This is really when everything changed. The string keyboards were getting used less and less because now touchscreens were taking over. This was also the beginning of using the internet and data, flipping through photos, and more in the palm of your hand. It was like a computer smushed into a tiny phone, and this phone was the iPhone.
I have an iPhone, which I can do my project from my iPhone. I can check my email.
Well, we've gone from phones that like hang on the wall to phones that like you just pick up and start texting with, and it's changed because now we can take this phone that used to be like a home phone only, and make it smaller, make it more, high tech. You got this 4G, 5G now. You got this little keyboard. It's like a mini computer in your hand, and you can take it out into the world and just use it. And I've seen, phones grow up from like dinosaurs to dinosaur phones to like little wall phones to cell phones, and it's evolved so much.
People weren't just using them for calling anymore. Phone's physical appearance wasn't the only thing that was changing.
It's changed a lot. Like, texting is more like everybody texts. No one really picks up the phone anymore and calls someone.
Yeah, they've gotten more stuff on them, like apps.
Well, when I was younger, if you had a cell phone, you were the coolest kid in like the planet or the neighborhood or school. And cell phones were only those for like who were like busy people.
It's made my life easier in a lot of ways.
Like more comfortable, more like useful.
I know that we've evolved a lot because of technology, and we've become somewhat smarter in using these new tools that we have.
Phones have really changed society. People really are using them for so much more.
My cell phone is my everything. It plays music, it takes pictures, it's my camera. I talk to people. It's like the phone is a multifaceted device that can be used in a bunch of different mediums. So I feel as though my phone is like pretty much everything I want it to be. That's how it helps me. If I need to go somewhere, I can find out. If I need to talk to somebody, I can find that out too. If I see a pretty picture and I want to make it a pretty picture, I can take a picture.
Pew Research Center data taken in 2011 suggested that cell phones are important tools in emergencies. 40% of mobile phone owners said that when they found themselves in emergency situations, having their cell phone had helped.
It helped me, like, if I was ever in a situation where, like, I'm stuck at school and I don't know how to get home, or if I need to ask a question, or like if you're in any, not, well, in a sense, serious trouble, or if there's like something wrong going on, you can just pick up a cell phone and call someone right away.
And one time I was on my way to school, and I got out of the car to put a letter in an envelope, in the letterbox, and I locked my keys in the car, and I left the car running. And so that's an instance where having my cell phone, my husband was like, I don't know, like 5 blocks away. I was able to call him and he could come and get me. So there's so many instances when, in the past, if you didn't have a cell phone, things would be much more difficult.
It definitely helped my safety. And when I was 12, I used to go downtown all the time without a cell phone, which is really
Like,
dumb.
now
I'd be like, Mom, help me. But yeah, I was 12, and downtown Prince Music Theater, walk into Liberty Mall, scared to death without a cell phone. Cell phones have definitely helped me keep safe.
The same Pew study showed that 73% of cell phone users use their phone for text messaging and for taking pictures. 54% of cell phone users send pictures or videos to others. 44% use it to access the internet, and about 53% of American adults have a smartphone.
So my husband, my
Some
mother,
don't use their
and my
cell phone
best friend.
often.
And so I usually check it once in the morning, and occasionally I talk to my husband or text my husband. And then I check it in the middle of the day once, usually to see if they need anything or they've called, and then I check it at the end of the day. And then, I don't know, depending on what's going on, I check it maybe once or twice at home. I don't check it a lot.
But others use it.
All the time. More often than I probably should, but it's like my best friend. It's always there for me.
Every day, every day of the week of the month, every year.
Every 5 minutes. Just saying. I mean, I don't use it in class. No, I really don't. But, a lot.
Cell phone usage in the U.S. has increased from 34 million to 203 million in the last 10 years. A 2004 MIT survey said that cell phones was ranked as the one invention that people hate the most but can't live without. But is that true?
Duh. All I have to say, duh. I think that it's a safety issue if you don't have a cell phone.
I don't have a phone and I still survive. I don't think it's necessary for us to have one because, when you have a cell phone, it limits a lot of things that you can do.
Probably until I was in college, I functioned without a cell phone. We had one of those giant bags, those cell phone bags. It was almost like a 12 by 12 square case, and the cell phone, it was literally like a car phone, and so I had that for emergencies. If people don't have a computer, I might say that it is necessary to have a cell phone if that's the only way people can connect to the internet.
In the professional world, yeah, you definitely need a cell phone because that's your way of communicating with everything in the business sense. As a personal sense, I know people who don't have cell phones and they really wish they did. I feel it is necessary to have one, but some people still don't have them. But I feel it's more beneficial if you do have them because you never know what happens.
It's not necessary, but it's not a luxury anymore. So it's more that you need it, but you don't have to have it.
I think cell phones make things easier. I'd like to think in cases of emergency, people are more able to connect and get help. So I think it definitely makes things easier and improves things in a lot of ways. Um, but I get really annoyed when I'm teaching and there's this going on.
It helps. Cell phones definitely help, and I think it's totally necessary. If I didn't have a cell phone, I'd just be disconnected from life.
But what will happen next? We know what technology and phones were like then and how they are now, but what will they be like in the future? An article in 2006 predicted that cell phone networks will move data at several megabits per second and will coexist with WiMAX, Wi-Fi, and for TV, DVB-H, or media flow. Cameras will be at higher resolutions and more. But what about in the year 2022? Author and professor at NYU's Interactive Telecommunications program, Clay Shirky, stated in an article published in 2011 that it's not clear that there is any such device as the phone in 2022. Telephony as a purpose-built device is going away, as it's beginning going away for the TV and the radio. We don't really know what technology or phones are going to be like in the future. They could get even smaller or even be able to do so much more than they can do now. In another article, there are some predictions of what the next phones will be like. We may find these to be unrealistic or just impossible right now, but the advancements of technology keep growing and expanding. There are even studies that say there will be a transparent phone. So as it's been seen, technology has changed a lot and it continues to grow. Cell phones have gotten smaller, but have gotten bigger with their use and has had a giant impact on society too. Though it has done a lot of change that is affected today, it will still be changing for generations and generations to come.